Tattoo artists of Reddit. What is the most effed up thing you've tattooed? Not a professional artist, but my brother-in-law had jerry-rigged up a tattoo gun in the garage out of a hand fan, an eraser, big pen and a sharpened guitar string. Friend wanted to get a quote from Che Guevara, "I'd rather die on my hands than live on my knees," or something along those lines. Needle broke after the first tee. So dude left our house with a fresh-eyed rat-tat. Tattooist here. The list is long, but the one that made me laugh the most that I've done is Willie Coyote's arm poking out of a dude's butt, holding a sign that said help. Had a woman come into the shop one time way back who looked like she'd been in a tanning booth 8 days a week for the last 40+ years. She wanted to get her locked up man's name tattooed on her, but she wanted it down there. She convinced me to get a high closer to her jukebox than I was comfortable with, and had me tattoo Billy Jack's pussy so far up in there that I think we're common law related now. Name slightly changed for anonymity. Best part is that a couple weeks later, Billy Jack called me from prison tell me how much he loved the tattoo. It was a collect call too. God damn it. Thanks for bringing that memory back. I was almost over it. Lol. In prison I knew a guy with half his name scribbled backwards on his forehead. The only explanation I could come up with was he was tattooing himself in the mirror and halfway through realized it was coming out backwards to everyone, so called it quits. I once tattooed nipples on a guy's butt cheeks, so his ass would look like tits. I knew a guy that got a tattoo of a dick on his dick so he could ask people wanna see my dick, and they would usually protest no. He would follow up with "it's a tattoo" laughing, so they would be like oh okay, awaiting a humorous tattoo of a dong to be displayed to them. This was, as you know, a false sense of security. A lie. A crime. A bamboozle, if you will. He would pull down his pants and whip out his dick on a dick, much to the dismay of all parties present with the exception of him, of course. Funny character, that one. Anyway, he did a lot of meth. The mentor I apprenticed under once put the word trust on someone's dick to pick up girls. "Hey baby, can I put my trust in you?" Worked with a guy that was changing his shirt one time, and he had a big elephant head on his stomach, and the trunk disappeared below his belt line. He saw my notice and without me saying anything just nodded and said yup. When I was getting one of my tattoos, the artist showed me this horrific piece he was begrudgingly working on for a client. It was a big arm tribal piece, and mixed in the tribal were little guys lifting weights. It was for a gym bro, not an artist. While I was getting some ink done, this group of guys come in and chat up one of the artists. They are all pretty chummy, and the guy asks to see my ink. After he looks at the piece I'm getting done, his artist friend suggests he show me his new masterpiece that he did for the guy. This guy takes off his shirt and turns around, just grinning his ass off with pride. There before me was a full back piece, displaying 3 cloaked and hooded members of the KKK. It had burning crosses, what looked like people hanging from trees, and the 3 Klan members. I had another artist down the road finish my work, and avoided that parlor after that. I'm not a tattoo artist, but I worked with a guy who was a known loose cannon in our industry. My foreman at the time told me to go introduce myself and ask him what his wife's name is. So I went over to the guy, introduced myself and asked what his wife's name was. I expected to get punched or yelled at, so I braced myself, but the fucking guy put his cigarette in his mouth and whipped out his hammer that in all caps said Elizabeth. I was shocked and remember saying holy fuck man, Jesus Christ all caps too. Good for you. The guys had a good laugh at me and my reaction. I have Waldo on my taint. I'd like to think that there's a wonderful person out there for you with Carmen Sandiego on their taint. My wife won't do it. Sorry pal. She's not the one. My friend's mom got a Mustang car that transitions into horses. Just like one of the basic infinity tattoos that turns into birds, but with a car and horses. Not an artist, myself, but while I was in Air Force Tech School, one of my fellow flight members got super blackout drunk one night and got a tattoo of the Liger from Napoleon Dynamite on his ass. How did I find out? He was whimpering and whining the next morning during PT, complaining about a wicked hangover as well as a burning sensation on his ass while he was doing sit-ups. After PT, he went to his dorm room and found out exactly what happened to him the night before. To his credit, I never heard him say he regretted it. Saw a girl get her entire anus tattooed. It was a Japanese cherry blossom flower, I believe. I'm only an apprentice of art, and so it's scary to think that I'll have crazier experiences. There was a 20 SMTHYO guy who came in and told our front desk guy his idea, and OFC me being the new guy. The shop owner gives me the client. Long story short, I tattooed a whale with a vagina using a goldfish as a sex toy on this guy's ass. When I was in the military and sharing a dorm room, I witnessed the most fucked up tattoo I've at least seen. My roommate had a tattoo on his back. It had tiger jerking off his tail, shooting honey onto Pooh Bear who was lying down. Honey was also dripping off the tail. Yes, not exactly a family-friendly one, lol. Apprentice here. People ask for all sorts of unusual things, but one of strangest things I had to do was Gary the snail from SpongeBob on some lady snail trail. The space between the belly button and the pubic mound, with the whole joke behind it being it's a snail on a snail trail. I did that one pretty early on in my apprenticeship, and honestly, I still think about that tattoo sometimes. Oh, and just last week I had a lady come in asking for a dick and balls on the bottom of one of her toes, just as a fun joke piece. We did it. Hair. Veins. The lot. She was super stoked with it. And TBH, I'm pretty sure that's been the highlight of my career so far. Lol. Well, I have a shark masturbating onto a mermaid, a ghost with an erection, 5 Care Bears committing suicide, and a snail with hot round flames on his shell, among many other stupid things. My tattoo artist draws for fun whenever he has no client and hangs the pictures on the wall. A guy came in wanting to be tattooed but with no idea. So he saw a weird drawing of an elephant sitting in the lotus flower position and a vagina in full display, and he decided he wanted that tattoo. When I was apprenticing, I had to do some number of free tattoos in order to get licensed. I was hungry for work, accepting anything that was a reasonable size difficulty level for me to be doing. Telling everyone I knew to tell everyone they knew that I could give them a tattoo for free, so that I could finally get my state license. This 18-year-old kid walked into our shop, and he told me he wanted a tattoo of a heart around his urethra. He had no prior tattoos. No idea how it would feel. He was engaged. His fiancée had cut him off from sex a month before the wedding, and he wanted to do something to surprise her. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. This'll be a story for everyone involved. So I sat him down and tattooed just the black lino work of a little heart around the tip of his penis. He sat like a fucking chimp, but was pretty well done after just the outline. We called it good, and he was on his way. He came back after his wedding and said his wife wanted me to color the heart in, so that happened. Once I was licensed, I had a few more guidelines about the work I'd do. There were some people that want some really stupid shit. I was lucky to work in a shop that was popular enough to be able to afford turning people away if their ideas were just too bonkers. Not sure this counts, but I did those silly pen and marker tattoos back when I was in school. Kids would pay me school currency for tattoos I could do, as I was apparently pretty good at it. This went on through high school. I'm also very well educated in world history, even at a time when I probably shouldn't have known what World War II was about or those who fought in it. I think you see where this is going, and you're right. Someone tried to pay me school money for a swastika. I flatly refused. He then got pissy and tried to have my tattooing operation shut down for refusing to tattoo him. This just ended up creating more of a market for it. When I was eventually called into the office to be reamed out by the school staff, I cut them off mid-rampage to ask, do you even know why Nazi complained to you in the first place? They didn't, naturally. So I told them. That ban was quietly lifted. I've since actually drawn stupid shit like penises and stuff like that. One girl asked me to do a poem on her back. I just wrote no on her back in a really fancy font and design. Got a good laugh out of that one. My artist proudly displays a picture of a massive lobster with a huge veiny dick, fucking some girl in like some traditional Japanese style. He said yes, it's on someone's body too. Currently getting tattooed, so I asked my tattoo artist. One time this guy lost a bet and needed a tattoo of a stick figure mowing his pubes right above his dick. He charged double his normal rate, lol. Story from an old teacher. In college, he was on the track team with a buddy of his. One day they got drunk in the city and wound up at a tattoo parlor. Dude had a bunch of Chinese characters and words you could get, so his buddy got victory on his upper arm. Real big. Used it as a good luck charm and it seemed to work. They were at the state finals, and the guy to beat was this big oriental dude from upstate. Well, the tattoo guy does beat him, and after the dude comes over to congratulate him for the win. He also comments he says he likes the tattoo, to which he replies it says victory, because I beat you. The Asian guy laughs and says that's not what it means. Tattoo guy is confused and says the guy told him it says victory. Other guy responds he speaks Mandarin and can actually read it. By this time my teacher wandered over to listen. The friend asks what it means then. Asian guy says it just reads duck. Even back in the 70s, white people were getting random Chinese words tattooed on themselves apparently. It was a normal day for me until a couple came in holding hands. The man sat down in the chair and I asked him what he wants and he said, "My wife's vagina on my forearm." So for some stupid reason I asked to see it, and she stood there for hours with it out. Most fuck thing I've ever seen. Can I speak for my tattoo artist? He tattooed guy holding dick like a gun, or Harry Potter, is just British Naruto sentence on me. Many years ago, I read an article about a nude beach, and a guy's reluctance to go there. He thought about it and decided to tattoo his mind. On his upper thigh he had this image as 1/4 life size. Underneath, in much smaller letters it said if you were close enough to read this, the above is no longer true. Not a tattoo artist, but my son has the entry stamp from his favorite nightclub tattooed on his forearm. It got him free entry for a full week before his friends stole the club's stamp, and they bought a new, different stamp. Your son's friend is terrible. Ha ha ha, that's the best part. My son thought it made it funnier, and he already felt guilty about not paying the cover charge. Later, he showed the manager, who thought it was all hilarious and ended up giving him free entry anyway. Tinkerbell fucking a light switch? I didn't do it. An old co-worker did. It turned out well, but geez,